Hey everybody, Pastor Scott here. I hope you're doing well. It's Tuesday, and I've got a brief update for you from our COVID response team. Just a little while ago, you received an email from them detailing some of the plans for the fall, as well as a framework that will guide some of our decisions and our gatherings over the next several months as we try and cut a new path through this unusual season. And I hope you'll take the time to read that letter. It's not too long, and it's got a lot of important information, but I wanted to have a video here as well to go over just a few of the details. One of the things that was important to the COVID team as they began to chart a course for these upcoming months, one was that we had a framework so that we could communicate ahead of time as best we could what we thought to expect. What we thought you could expect over the coming months as the situation changes, how we might change in response to it. We are committed as ever to continuing not only the broader church's mission, but our local church's mission to embrace brokenness and champion wholeness in and through Jesus Christ. COVID's not stopping us. It's not putting us on pause. We're continuing on. We're just having to perhaps continue in some new and unusual ways here over the short term. And so we wanted to have a framework for that. It's helpful for you to know a little bit more of what to expect, but it's also helpful for our staff and leaders that they can plan and prepare appropriately for some of the situations we may encounter in the weeks and months ahead. One of the things that was important to the team was that we develop a framework that was locally focused. While our team has worked very hard to keep up with trends in the church nationally, to keep up with what's happening with COVID globally, nationally, and across our state, they're very committed to wanting to have a community-based, a community-specific plan. And for that reason, they made the decision to adopt the same green, yellow, red framework that our school system has. So green, yellow, and red for us will be defined just the same way that it is by the school system, which is based on the number of active cases as a percentage of our community. So while what's happening with COVID around the world is very important, we wanted to develop a framework that was responsive to its presence in our community. The more prevalent it became, the more we would respond accordingly, and as cases would decrease, the more open we would return. Another core value at the heart of the team's work and for us as a church is that we recognize just how important our mission and just our presence as a church is to one another and to the community. We take that really seriously. And so we want to, on the one hand, provide as much normalcy as we can. But on the other hand, we want to provide and steward well the health of one another and our broader community. And so our team has tried very hard to find a balance between those two. Finally, one other commitment that's grounding that decision to adopt that same framework was related to the schools themselves. That because our school system has adopted this same framework, we wanted to be mindful of that and responsive to that as well. We believe that it's important for our students to be in school, to have a quality experience, and that when they're unable to do that, it's hard on them. It's hard on our teachers, it's hard on our administrators, it's hard on our students. But we also know that it's hard on our families. That as students are forced to step out of school for periods of time, that puts added stress on our parents and grandparents. It puts added stress on people's workplaces and businesses. And we wanted to take that seriously. We want to view ourselves as a partner that as cases increase in the community, which hopefully won't happen or won't happen for long, but if and when they do increase, we want to respond accordingly. We want to be a community partner to help do our small part to help us move back towards green, back towards that normal experience, back towards a full experience of the school year as much as we could. So that was part of what was motivating that broader decision. Now, I would ask up front that you continue as you have to extend grace and flexibility with the team and with these plans. It's inevitably going to change. It'll be modified, we'll learn, we'll improve, we'll adapt, but hopefully this provides a framework, at least of some expectations of what we'll be doing in the life of our church in the fall. The staff and I continue to work really hard. We've got a lot of new things that are in the works, and that will continue both in person as well as some new things that will continue virtually. And we'll have a lot more to share with you about what we've been working on and what new things you can experience this fall. Finally, there are just two things that the letter didn't mention that I want to share with you or encourage you with today. The first is that I recognize that the pandemic as a whole, and even as it's impacting our community, it impacts us in really deep and profound ways. It impacts us practically, it impacts us financially, it impacts our time, and it impacts us emotionally. I don't know about you, but for me at least, my emotions have been strong throughout this process. It impacts us differently, but it impacts us. It can make us feel angry, frustrated. It can make us feel isolated and alone. It can make us feel fearful or anxious. But this season and this process impacts us deeply. And I want you to know that I'm aware of that. We're aware of that. Not only do I pray for you all often, but I'm convinced as we go forward into this fall that I want us to live into that, press into that, talk about that more as a church, and to see how the gospel might meet us in those deep places of hurt or fear or frustration going forward, and what the gospel might have to say to us as people of faith during this time. So while we're continuing our journey through Matthew, we may take a bit of a breather here in the coming weeks and just have some more of those conversations about how the gospel may be a help to us as we navigate these challenges. Finally, I just want to leave you with the encouragement that your presence matters, your voice matters, your gifts and skills, your hearts, your passions, your dreams, who you are, it matters. It matters in and of itself, and it matters deeply to us as a community and as a church. One of my favorite New Testament words is a little word that just shows up in Luke chapter 2. I'm pretty sure it's the only place that it shows up, but it's a story early in Jesus' life when he and his family are traveling to Jerusalem for one of the festivals. And this would be very common. People would hit the country roads and make their way to the big city of Jerusalem for these festivals at the same time every year. And so it would develop as you got closer and closer to Jerusalem to this large crowd of people on pilgrimage there. And there's a little word there in the biblical text that talks about a synodia, that group of people making their way towards God, towards the city of God in Jerusalem, were on a synodia, which means a journey in company. What a great phrase, right? A journey in company. And I think that's what church is at its best, that we are taking this life journey, this faith-informed journey together. It's a journey in company. And so I just want to encourage you and remind you that who you are matters. Whether you're joining us in person or virtually, your presence matters. Your commitment, your investment in the community matters. And I just want to encourage you with that. Encourage you to stay connected. Encourage you to put in the effort to remain a part, to remain invested, because it's so easy. There's so many things pushing and pulling us away. And I believe the enemy would love nothing more than to take this time and to take this moment and to unravel our churches and our communities, to separate relationships, to create hurt or disconnection or isolation. And so I'm praying strongly that we can remain connected and that we can take this journey, this unbelievable, wild, crazy experience of COVID, that we can take this journey as people of faith together, that this can be a journey in company for us. Know that we love you, continue to pray for you, and that we'll continue to talk and figure this out together. We'll get through this, and we'll get through it together. We'll talk to you soon. I'll see you Sunday, all right? Bye.